Hello, can you hear me now? There we are. Welcome, everyone. I am Jesus, and today we are doing a little show here called Find Your Path. In this show, I'll be trying to teach you guys how to create a character in media as a character inside of Pathfinder 1E. And today, our subject is none other than Joseph Joestar from Part 3 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Joseph Joestar is a man of many talents. Specifically, we're going to be trying to focus on his special abilities such as using Hamon, using Hermit Purple, as well as also trying to fit as much as we can of his actual personality and abilities into this character. So, let's start off with some of the more common stuff that we can easily see. Character name is Joseph Joestar. His alignment? He's pretty chaotic, but he's still a good person. Deity? God. But the amount of times he says, oh my god, it's just God. Homeland? The US of A. His race? Human. Size? Medium. That is the general size for all medium-sized creatures. Is just the average human is a medium-sized character. Gender? Male. Age? 69. Nice. Hair? White. And eyes. Okay, I don't know that off the top of my head. I might actually have to go and find the picture of him real quick. Look like they're blue. Could I try doing Doomslayer? I could. I just need to try and find more, how can I say? More advanced weaponry for that. Alrighty then. Now then, his class. What can his class be? Well, there is a special class specializing in the psychic as well as also the elemental part of a character. They are known as the kineticist. And for some odd reason, it's not letting me type it in. Ah, here we are. And we'll put that down as his favorite class. Alrighty then. Now, as a kineticist, he specializes in a couple of things. Specific. Oh, you kind of want to do something like this, but with League Champions? By all means. But for right now, let's see here. His race modifier. As a human, he gets +2 to one of these 6 stats right over here. As a kineticist, he most likely wants that in Constitution. Because he's going to be using Constitution for his stat in just about everything as a kineticist. Oh, I wish good luck to your war turtle there, Koser. Now then, let's see here. Let's check out some of the abilities as a kineticist. Hit dies are D8s. His class skills, there we are. Now this is the stuff that I need to go into. So we'll head back over to the main area here. As a kineticist, he has certain skills that he's more attributed than others. For example, acrobatics, craft, let's see here, heal, intimidate, perception, profession, stealth, and use magic device, or UMD for short. Now then, let's see here. We gotta figure out what kind of kineticist he is, because kineticists usually fall under 6 different elements. Fire, earth, water, air, ether, and void. Now, the first four are pretty self-explanatory, but Ether and Void, they're more abstract in construct. Ether is pretty much like telekinesis. You're able to move things with your mind, or at least imbue them with an extra shielding with your mind. And Void, it's pretty much known for crushing things. Right off the top of the bat, we know that Joseph Joestar tends to use Hamon, and it's usually displayed as a bit of electricity. Now, electricity would be found under air. It is known as Electric Blast, which specializes in doing touch damage and does 1d6 damage for every 2 levels of kineticis that you have. But of course, that just deals with the short range. The Joseph Joestar special ability of Hamon, he's able to attack from range farther than he normally would, using Hermit Purple. As such, we know that he at least has a 15-foot reach with that. And and a stand is usually imperceptible to a human eye, so chances are he's got at least 2 elements, Aether and Air Electric. Good news is, we can figure out how strong he is based on that alone. For a kineticist to get a second element, they need to be 7th level. So, we actually have some starting ground here. We're going to head on over to the configuration, change the level up to 7. 7th level one has 5 BAB, 5 Fortitude. Let's see here. 5 Reflex and 2 Will. They get 4 ranks per skill level. Excuse me, I just had a cough there. So we actually have some starting ground here. We know that this Joseph Joestar is going to start off at least level 7. Now then, let's see here. His casting stat would technically be Constitution. So let's see all the fun stuff that a kineticist gets at level 7. For starters, they do get their original element, in which case we chose air, electricity. They have the ability to burn themselves, which means that they can take a little bit of damage themselves metaphysically. They can also get their power to reduce the burn that they get. They get an infusion, and they also use their ability for a kinetic blast. Now, here's something that may be interesting. By Ra, a kineticist can only do ranged attacks. Joseph Joestar's Hamon, on the other hand, can only be channeled through objects. Which means he's not just a regular kineticist, he is an archetype. Let's see here, which one is that I forget? No, not those. Here we are, Kinetic Knight. For exchanging out the ability to use their abilities for ranged attacks, they basically focus more on melee abilities. It's a Kinetic Knight. They no longer get Diplomacy and... they add Diplomacy and Sense Motive to their class skills and take away Acrobatics and Stealth. So we're just going to take away Acrobatics and Stealth and put in Diplomacy and Sense Motive. 2 things that Joseph Joestar has actually been very common and known to use. Right, one more thing. His age. When characters get to certain ages in their life, they tend to get some more abilities and disabilities because of their age. As such, at the age of 69, Joseph Joestar is considered old, which means he gets a -3 in his strength, -3 in his dex, and a -3 in his con, which brings that down to a -1. But he also gets a +2 in intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. We'll have to figure out what his other stats are later on the show, because right now we gotta focus one thing at a time. Let's see here. Right. His abilities as a kineticist. At first level, a kinetic knight gains kinetic blade form infusion and costs 0 burn, which basically means he can do a standard attack with his electric or aether blast if he wanted to, and take no burn. Yeah. I really gotta set this up in a way that's gonna be more advantageous later. Here we are. Main. Weapons and attack. Name. Kinetic blade. It is considered a melee. Standard to go against touch. Now the damage. Let's go ahead and calculate that damage as a kineticist, huh? Energy blasts are gained at 1d6 plus half the kineticist constitution modifier, increasing by 1d6 for every 2 kineticist levels past 1. So we got 1, 3, 5, 7. That's 4d6 for a standard attack. We don't use any modifier on that. Actually, we do technically use a modifier. It's half the constitution. Alright. There we are. Half con. Electric type. Yeah. Alright. And that would be the kinetic blade. Specifically, that's the one for electricity. And since he does have a second ability that lets him get a second element, we'll have to do one for his aether as well. His aether is considered a physical ability, which does 2d6 plus 2, and increases by 2d6 plus 2 for every 2 levels. No, hold on, that's composite blast. Here we are, 1d6 plus 1 for every odd level. It is considered a melee. It actually does go against his AC. (4d6) plus 4. And in terms of type, well, it's kinetic blade, so I'll have to check into that one for a bit. It actually doesn't say what type of type it is, so we'll just put down physical for the time being. So, as a kineticist, he's already got 2 attacks for being at level 7. Let's go ahead and go to his additional features and traits. We're going to be putting in his class features here. Specifically, gather power. So long as they have both hands free, a kineticist can gather energy from elemental matter as a move action. It is going to be 1 energy to reduce the burn on a move action, 2 for a full action, 3 for a full round action. Sorry, for a full round plus your next turn's move action, but it can only go to as high as +3. So we're just going to go over to here, put this down as gather power. And for a short description, we can put down reduce burn. And we can copy and paste the entire thing down here to the regular thing there. Next, at first level, he gets his infusions. Luckily, we already know about that. He's supposed to get an infusion at 1st, 5th, 11th. No, wait, no. He gets an infusion pretty much at every odd level, aside from 5th, 7th. I swear, I speak the Englishes. He'll get an infusion pretty much at every odd level except for 5th, 11th, and 17th. As a kinetic knight, however, most of those are already pretty much spoken for already. Because at 3rd level, the kinetic knight gains the Blade Rush ability. This allows the wearer to instantly move 30 feet in any direction, even straight up into the air, and pretty much do a flyby attack with their blade. But only once. All right. Let's see here. At 5th level, they gain the Kinetic Whip, which also has the abilities to use Disarm, Performance, and Trip. Now, Kinetic Whip is actually going to be a fun one, because it acts pretty much exactly like Kinetic Blade, but with a range of 15 feet. Let's see. Kinetic Knight, they also gain the ability for Kinetic Warrior, which lets them use their Constitution score in place of Intelligence modifier to qualify for combat feats. And then we get Knight's Resolve. At 3rd level, a kinetic knight gains the Samurai's Resolve class feature. As a samurai of her kineticist level, -2. So, we're going to be checking out the Samurai Resolve feats, or class abilities here. Alright, so we have 3 different resolves to get. We have Determined. As a standard action, the samurai can spend 1 use of resolve to remove the fatigued, shaken, or sickened condition. If the samurai is at least 8th level, they can alternatively remove exhausted, frightened, or nauseated, or staggered condition. If the condition has a duration longer than 1 hour or is permanent, the ability removes the condition for 1 hour, at which time the condition returns. There's also Resolute. Whenever the samurai is required to make a fortitude or will save, you can spend 1 use of the resolve as an immediate action to roll twice and take the better result. He must decide to use this ability before he rolls for the saving throw. Finally, there's Unstoppable. When the samurai is reduced to fewer than 0 hit points but not slain, you can spend 1 of his resolve as an immediate action to instantly stabilize and remain conscious. He is staggered, but does not fall unconscious and begin dying if he takes a standard action. He does fall unconscious if he takes any additional damage from any other source. Now, as a JoJo, we are going to be using Unstoppable. Hello there, Goblin Panda Rosalia. I'm glad that you enjoyed JoJo. And I have no idea 1, 2, 3. What did the handless kid get for his birthday? I don't know, but I have a feeling that he couldn't open it. Yes, this is actually the very first episode. Actually, hold on. I gotta get my phone ready to do this because having to go back and forth between this can be a little bit confusing. There we are. Alrighty then, so we got all the parts for the kinetic knight set up. Now let's head on over to the rest of the kineticists. Let's see here. Alright, so for starters, he does get Elemental Overflow +2 for being at the 6th level, which basically means he gets to reduce the burn by anything by -2. Secondly, he gets 1 internal buffer, which means he has an extra battery of burn that he can use without actually feeling any of the negative effects for it. Finally, the Utility Wild Talent. We get 3 of them that we get to choose from. Now, most of these are usually depicted by classes or... not classes, but I swear I know the word for this. By their elements, there we are. And the 2 elements that we're going to be working with are mainly air and also ether. Of course, we can also do universal as well. not only are they separated by their elements, but they're also celebrated by level as well. So we won't be able to get any ones that are higher than we currently are, as it were. Two that are usually very beneficial would be, let's see, aerial evasion, which basically gives the kineticist the ability to gain evasion, which is basically whenever they have to make a reflex save, they can get either half damage by failing or no damage by succeeding. Wait, no, it's all or nothing for evasion, and then at improved evasion, it's half or nothing. Can't pull a fast one on Jesus. Nope. Well, maybe you could try and pull a slow one. Oh, Neotronic, you redeemed the first! Congratulations on redeeming the first! I'm doing alright. I'm actually surprised no one actually tried to use Holy Roller today. You know what? With the amount of times that Joseph Joestar has been in a exploding or crashing plane, we should give him aerial adaptation, which prevents him from getting altitude sickness, but it also gives him electric resistance as well, equal to twice his current burn.
How holy is this roll?
It's pretty rolly there. It's pretty holy there, Jet. All right, so that's one of our utilities here. Let's try and see another one here. It doesn't have the ability to just jump high or anywhere like that, so that's out of the question. Can't extend his reach. Can't turn into gas. Kira Cobra, hello! Thank you for the raid! Welcome, raiders! Hello there, Small Cut. I'm doing alright. How are you doing today? Just making a character sheet for Joseph Joestar right now. Let's see here. Engulfing Winds? You haven't been winds? No, that doesn't sound like something he could do. No, he can't do Flame Jet. That is for fire. Yeah, I don't know how to change the shout-out command to actually work with that. I don't know. I really need to figure out how to fix that. Huh. You know what? While I have my web browser open up, I guess I really got to do it the other way. And there you go, Chiru Cobra. All right, back to the task at hand, shall we? We still gotta try and find 2 more utility wild talents to give our Joseph Joestar here. Well, there is Voice of the Wind and Voice of the Wind Greater here. That allows him to hear things along the wind, as well as also project his voice as if through ghost sound or ventriloquism. Granted, it can only go as far as 50 miles per kineticist level. Still, level 5, that's 250 miles, that's pretty far. Granted, not as far as to Egypt as to get the location of Dio, but alright, and that should do it for utility wild talents. Now, next up, we're going to be... RNG is going to DM, or are we making character sheets for funsies? Oh, I'm just making character sheets for funsies because of the fact that I always enjoyed making character sheets in general for Pathfinder 1E, and I decided to try and do this as a way to make, well, to make some fun with it. After all, I'm sure a lot of you guys actually wanted to play as various anime and video game characters in your own tabletop RPGs. So I decided to try and make a little catalog, and also... how can I put this? Also put a, oh man, what is the word for when you want to try and show something to somebody? Well, long story short, I am documenting how I do the process, so that way, if anybody else also wants to be able to make Joseph Joestar or Spider-Man or Super Mario as a character in Pathfinder 1E, now they'll have something to fall back onto. Whoop, wrong button. Yes, a showcase. Thank you, Green. Alrighty then, now back to the task at hand. Now, characters tend to get a feat every odd level, so 1, 3, 5, 7. That means he's got 4 feats. But he's also human, which means he gets 1 extra feat. So we gotta think of 5 feats that this guy can use. Since he's going to be going into melee combat, we know he's going to want weapon focus, which gives a +1 to... no, it's plus... great, now I gotta double check this just to make sure I'm clear, because... here we are. Weapon focus is a +1. Yeah, that may be a lot of feats, but to be fair, is that really any expected? It's going all right there, Liquid. How are you doing, Liquid? But yeah, weapon focus. And we will put this down as KD, short for kinetic blade. Benefits, +1 to attack with kinetic blade. And of course, we also want more. We're going to need to do one for all the other ones as well, such as weapon focus, kinetic whip, +1 to attack with kinetic whip. Zovastria, how are you doing today? Morning, Leo. How are you doing today? Ah. Alright, Zovastria, I hope you enjoy your lurk. Try to be safe. So that's 2 of our 5 feats already set up. We got... I'm doing quite alright, just making a character sheet based off of Joseph Joestar. Alrighty then, so let's think about what other abilities that Joseph Joestar just might actually have here. Let's see. Well, with Hermit Purple, the one thing that he's always going to want to do is get improved grapple. But in order for him to do that, he needs improved unarmed strike. So, first things first, we're going to need to give him an improved unarmed strike. Now, what does this do? It just lets him be able to punch without provoking attacks of opportunity. And next, we're going to need improved grapple. Gives him a +2 to grapple and to resist being grappled. Because normally, if you try to grapple someone without having improved grapple, what that does is that they get an attack of opportunity. Ah, notes to the archive. Welcome, Raiders! Alright, then I'll go ahead and get a little shout out ready for you there. There you go, notes to the archive. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, everybody.
Hey there, Raiders. No arc here.
That's right, there is no arc whatsoever. You should always believe Jeff. Jeff is just such a good dice. He's one of my holy rollers. Aw, I love you too, Notes. Be safe out there. So, we still got one more feat we gotta figure out for Joseph. Well, he is a man that goes about the world, so if anything, we might need to give him this feat Cosmopolitan. What that does is that he gives him +2 languages. Now, let's go over to the languages, shall we? We know for a fact that he learns English. However, in terms of other languages, by Raw, since he has a +1, he also gains one more language. Well, it would be understanding if he understood Italian, because he was trained in Italy by Lisa and Caesar. All Joseph really needs to know are the terms and languages of "oh my god" and "oh no." But with Cosmopolitan, he also gets 2 more languages. He would want to learn Japanese so he can still connect with his grandson, Jotaro, and also be able to speak with his daughter, Holly, when she goes native. But he also knows 1 more language, and that would be German. Because how else is he going to speak with German soldiers? Well, that is true. He could learn Latin. Yes, Joseph English does give me serotonin as well. But yeah, we're going to go with these 4 languages for the time being. English, Italian, Japanese, and German. Now then, let's go ahead and figure out his skills. Now then, for the number of ranks that we can put in, it has to be equal to our level. And currently, our level is 7. So we know for a fact that Joseph Joestar has been known to sense BS from a mile away, and he's also pretty good at talking his way out of a situation. So those are instantly going to be maxed out. Oop. Hello there, Rostamir. How are you doing today? Now then, we still have... Ooh, hold on, that's right. As a human, he does get an extra rank in all of his skills. So that means 7 ranks per level, making 42 in total. He currently uses 14 out of the 42. So then, let's try to think about what else Mr. Joestar can actually do. Oh, bloody fudge, that's right. I completely forgot about that. As an air kineticist, he also gains fly and knowledge nature as class skills. Alright. So yes, depending on what kind of kineticist you are, you also get bonuses to your class skills. In this case, he gains fly and knowledge nature. Now, you can put as many ranks as you want into fly, but that doesn't mean you will be able to do anything until you actually have a means of flight. Hello! Does contain hell in it, but I am fine in general, thanks. Ah, well, that's good to hear. And don't worry, a lot of people don't realize that hello has hell in it, but quite frankly, it's fine. It's just a place. It's not like you're trying to send someone there, now are you? Now then, let's see. Does he actually get any of the other defenses? Let's check out expanded element just to make sure. Nope. Alrighty then, back to the character sheet then. Well, let's see, in terms of...
Don't forget you can follow to be notified for new streams as they happen, and subscribe to avoid all the ads for a month.
Thank you, Holy Roller. That was unexpected. Let's see here. In fact, we should actually leave fly as low as possible because of how often he crashes planes. Let's see. In terms of perception, he does seem to have a pretty good head on his shoulders, usually noticing whenever there's an enemy stand around, unless it's completely obvious, in which case it goes right under his radar. Now, a job. What does Mr. Joestar do as a job? Let's see here.
ノープレーン
No plane crash can kill Joseph Joestar. That's right there, little buddy. Alright, that's right. He does real estate. Well, if he's going to be doing real estate, he needs to be able to do two things. He needs to be great at marketing, so he's got to be a bit of a merchant. And he at least needs to understand how good a house needs to be in order for it to be sold. So we're going to be putting that other 7 into appraise. That takes care of 33 out of the 42 ranks we got to do. We've got 9 more left to go. When traveling with the other people, he has been the one to be doing most of the cooking, so you could add in another profession here of chef. We'll give him about 2 ranks there. Little Rolly needs more practice with words. To be fair, that's not just one Holy Roller. There are dozens of Holy Roller. Depending on who comes out, they might be able to speak pretty good English, or they might not. So then, let's see here. Joseph Joestar's ability to sleight of hand has been pretty good. And his ability for surviving in the wild is also fairly decent. And with that, yes, the rollers are also restrained to RNG. They are my followers. Well, I should say they are not my followers, because you guys are my followers. You're my disciples. But I guess these are the people who I am in charge of in heaven. Now then, let's get down to what's really important here. Joseph Joestar's main abilities. Yes, you can. You can be very good there. Ah, so you're a Russian person there, Rostomir. I do apologize. My knowledge of Russian language is very little. I do apologize. Not servants. They're more like my charges. Anywho, let's look into how we can build Mr. Joestar here. Based upon what we actually know, what he can actually do in the show. Now, Mr. Joestar has been shown to actually get his entire heart drained of blood and still come back from the life. That in itself, well, that was done from outside interference, so I probably won't be able to count. But he has at least been able to show that he can withstand high amounts of heat and still not lose his mental faculties. But to be fair, maybe he was the only one that actually didn't lose his mental faculties, because everyone else were laughing and realized the whole situation with the sun stand earlier, so perhaps they have better wisdom than he does. One thing we do know for certain, Mr. Joestar is deadly intelligent. Another thing we know for a fact is that he has been known to take plenty of hits much better than most other people. To a point where it's just downright scary how well he can actually just take a punch and still keep going. His dexterity, on the other hand, does need a lot to be desired, because he's usually falling into other people's traps, even when he can clearly see them ahead of time. Then again, he is also dexterous enough to actually trick Wamu into hitting him with the American Clacker volley. We'll come back to that in a bit. His wisdom and his charisma. Let's see here. In terms of his charisma, it's pretty abysmal because of the fact that unless he's trying to get into somebody's head, he's usually not that very good at it. No, actually, I'd say he actually is pretty good at it because he was able to at least... Actually, no. Let's see. He got upset when Caesar Zeppeli wooed and managed to literally outsmart him for a moment there. But he still is at least able to at least make friends with other stand users that he has at least come across. On top of that, it does take an immense amount of dexterity in order to pull out the... No, that's right, that wasn't him, that was Jotaro that pulled out the star, but the Dio Bud. Spanish is the same thing, but with pronouncing the words, some words have an accent. Yeah, that is true. Some words do actually have accents. Let's see here. In terms of feats of dexterity, what has Joseph Joestar done since he became old? Well, he broke a camera, and that is no easy feat. Matter of fact, he splintered it into a single punch. That's got to be somewhat stronger than the average human. And that's after all his minuses, which brings him to at least 11 here. But his dexterity, I'm trying to think of any means of dexterity that he was able to avoid being hit, but so far the only thing that's coming to mind is that whenever he would try to avoid, he still ended up being shocked by that one stand user that turned him magnetic and made it so that him and Polnareff were stuck together for a while. But he is also intelligent enough to actually crush them and use their own magnetism against them. Yeah, he did have enough charisma to survive Suzy Q when she found out about Josuke. And you know what? He also had enough, like, stupidity to actually, like, walk right into his house with another baby just that he found on the street just because she had a stand and adopted her. So chances are that probably got Suzy Q upset about that as well, but that's part 4. We'll talk about that later. Yes, he was magnetized to Avdol. Muhammad Avdol. Let's see here. He couldn't dodge the knives, but to be fair, time was stopped at that very moment when the knives were thrown. He was at least intelligent enough to figure out that Dio's ability was the ability to stop time. And his sleight of hand is pretty decent because of the fact that he was able to at least hide his stand power while fighting off against Darby. Well, Jotaro made it look like he was the one who was doing it, so kudos to that. Let's see, sleight of hand was a dex. So yeah, go ahead and give him a little bit more dexterity there. At least enough to be considered an average person. He did get a small hint from Kakyoin because Kakyoin did hit the clock, and he knew that Kakyoin's not going to be making superfluous moves, especially on his deathbed. So let's see here. Let's at least calculate how many hit points he would have. So then, at 7th level, he gains 2 hit points just for having a +2 to his con there. So we know that he's going to start off with a 10 there. Now then, in terms of his actual hit dice, he has D8s, which means at 1st level he starts off with 8, And then, for sake of brevity, just because we want to make this a little bit easier to understand, you'll gain half plus 1 for every level after that, which is 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So he gains an extra 30 hit points from that. Which means at the very start of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3 Stardust Crusaders, yeah, he starts off with 48 hit points, which is fairly decent. Not great, especially considering he's a kineticist and he's supposed to be using his con for just about everything. But he's also an older gentleman, so he can be a little bit hard to actually work with at that. Oh, fudge, it's right. Since we upped his intelligence, he does actually gain 3 more languages. Well, let's see. He has to know Egyptian if he's going to be able to speak with the people there, especially since he's managed to come across Muhammad Abdul and they were able to speak just fine with each other. He'd most likely have to speak Indian because of the fact that they did spend some time in India as well. Let's see here. They weren't in China, so let's see. Were there any other places that he had to have been in order to learn another foreign language in order to properly introduce himself? Oh, they speak Arabic in Egypt? Alrighty then. You think Mr. Joestar is smarter than he acts? Oh yeah, you see, that's the whole thing. With this, we put his intelligence much higher than his wisdom, because intelligence is the ability to actually create a bomb. Wisdom is the ability to know not to stick that bomb up your butt if you want to reach the moon. Charisma is convincing someone to do it anyways. Let's see. He did actually go to Mexico, so he might actually know Spanish as well. Alrighty then. Yeah, overall, this isn't so bad for a character. And so with that, I believe that this is where we will end today's episode. We've got ourselves Joseph Joestar, a man of, well, many talents, as it were, specializing the ability to use his kinetic blade as well as his ether blade to try and attack enemies from as far as 15 feet away from with the aid of his stand, Hermit Purple. He is a bit of a man of the world, being able to sell things and also be able to cook at least very minor objects here and there. Lithia VTuber, hello! Thank you for the raid, but we were just about to end in just a bit. I'm sorry, raiders. I was just putting up the finishing touches for this. No raid message, raid! I'm sorry, everyone. You guys just came over here at the wrong time. However, there are the VODs if you were interested in seeing how to... You did get to send a message. Yeah, that is true, Lithia. But I am going to be ending this episode relatively soon. Good news is that if you guys are interested in at least... Oh. Green here, redeeming the Guide the Raid, going over to Mermaider. So I'll go ahead and just copy that name right now. Anywho, if you guys are interested in this character sheet, I will be putting it in the Discord for our subscribers only channel. There, they will be able to at least see the Succubus raid gets cancelled by Jesus. You know what? That'd be fun to see. But anywho, this character sheet will be put up on the Discord. If you do want to get there, we do have a command to get there. Oh, she's dressed as a nun right now? This is going to be sweet then. But once again, we are going to be putting this character sheet up on the Discord where you guys will be able to look over it for yourselves if you want to add or subtract anything to make your own character, or if you want to try and make your own Joseph Joestar, you can use this as a guide if you'd like. Yeah, I do plan on doing Pathfinder streams like this. Although I might even try to ask a couple of VTubers if they'd be interested in joining in as well. I could try and make characters based off of them. But we'll see where time goes with that. In the meantime, let's get ready ourselves for another raid, shall we? I will see you guys all next time. So in the meantime, you all be safe, you all be awesome, and I will see you later.